He was supposed to be untouchable, the quad god, the most dominant figure skater on the planet. A 21-year-old American prodigy who does jumps no other human being can do. And yet, at the biggest stage on Earth, the Winter Olympics, he fell twice and finished 8th. What happened next is one of the most stunning athletic comeback stories you will ever witness. 6 weeks, that's all it took. 6 weeks between one of the most shocking Olympic collapses in figure skating history and a world championship performance so commanding, so emotionally charged that it made grown men in Prague scream and weep at the same time. But here's what nobody is telling you about that comeback. It wasn't just about the skating. It was about something far deeper, something that every single person who has ever failed publicly, been doubted, or felt the weight of impossible expectations will understand on a gut level. Stay with me, because this story is not what you think it is. Let's rewind to Milan, February 2026, the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. Ilia Malinin enters as the overwhelming gold medal favorite. The numbers support it completely. He's the reigning 2-time world champion. He's the only human being alive who has landed a quadruple axel in competition, a jump so technically demanding, so brutally difficult that the skating world gave him a title for it, the Quad God. He had recently landed a historic program with 7 quadruple jumps in a single skate, something that had never been done before in the history of the sport. The world was not waiting to see if he would win. The world was waiting to see by how much. And then the music started. Everything the skating world thought it knew about Ilia Malinin, every assumption, every prediction, every Vegas-style guarantee, dissolved in approximately 4 minutes of ice time. He fell on a jump. Then he fell again. And when the scores came in, the quad god, the most technically gifted skater of his generation, had finished 8th. 8th. Not bronze, not silver. 8th. The Olympic gold went to Mikhail Shidorov of Kazakhstan, a skater almost no one outside the skating community had circled on their bracket. The internet lost its mind. Now, here's something the sports media didn't spend enough time on. Think about what it actually feels like to be 21 years old, carrying the hopes of an entire country, not to mention 4 years of your own relentless preparation, and then, under the glare of a billion watching eyes, your body doesn't do what it's done 10,000 times in practice. Your legs, which have executed these jumps since you were a child, simply betray you. Scott Hamilton, the 1984 Olympic gold medalist, explained it best this week. He said there is nothing in sport that can prepare you for the Olympics, the media onslaught, the athlete village, the weight of something that only comes around every 4 years. No amount of training, no amount of mental rehearsal gets you truly ready for that pressure. He said it's just so different than anything you could ever expect. Malinin himself admitted it. He had told reporters before the games he was treating it like any other competition. It was a brave strategy, and it didn't work, because the Olympics are not like any other competition. They never have been, they never will be. So the question became, what does a champion do with that kind of failure? The answer arrived in Prague, Czech Republic, 6 weeks later, the O2 Arena, the ISU World Figure Skating Championships. But before a single jump was attempted, before a single blade touched the ice, something remarkable happened. As Malinin took his starting position on the ice, he began mouthing the words of his program's spoken word opening, a line from a famous philosopher, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." Those words, which had been part of his free skate all season, suddenly meant something completely different. In that moment, inside that arena, they were not just lyrics, they were a declaration. A man telling himself, I do not carry the weight of what happened in Milan. I am here. I am free. Watch. What followed over the next 4 minutes and 18 seconds was not just a figure skating performance, it was a public reckoning, a statement delivered in the only language Ilia Malinin has ever truly spoken, through the air, through rotation, through the impossible physics of a human body moving at the edge of what sport allows. 5 quadruple jumps, clean, powerful, each one landing with the kind of authority that sends a shockwave through an arena. And then, at the end, his signature backflip. Not required, not scored, just Ilia Malinin telling 12,000 people in Prague exactly where he stood. He finished and screamed, he punched the air, and then he told the crowd exactly what they gave him. I definitely felt pushed and loved. Thank you so much. It was really challenging, really hard, but with you guys, I was able to make it through. When the scores lit up, 218.11 in the free skate, 329.40 total, that is not a narrow win. That is a statement. That is dominance. That is a man who took 6 weeks of public humiliation and converted every single ounce of it into fuel. Let's understand what Ilia Malinin has now achieved. He's the first male figure skater to win 3 consecutive world championship titles since fellow American Nathan Chen, who did it in 2018, 2019, and 2021. He's only the 14th man in the entire history of the sport to accomplish this feat, and he did it at 21 years old. He's also the youngest skater to achieve 3 consecutive world titles since the year 2000. His total score, 329.40, was over 37 points higher than the score that won Olympic gold in Milan. Let that sink in. The skate that didn't make the Olympic podium was a bad night. The champion version of Ilia Malinin operates in a completely different dimension. And here's the business of greatness, the mindset psychology that separates elite performers from everyone else that this story is really about. When Malinin spoke to reporters after Prague, he said something that deserves to be framed on a wall. Medals don't really define who you are. He said it's about understanding that failure is data, information to understand what you can do better in the future. He didn't spiral, he didn't quit. He went back to the rink, he isolated the problem, and he came back and delivered the most commanding world championship performance of the season. That is not just athletic excellence, that is emotional intelligence at the highest possible level. That is what separates legends from contenders. And here's where this story gets even more interesting. Ilia Malinin is now teasing something that should be technically impossible, a quintal jump, 5 full rotations in the air. Even Scott Hamilton, who has seen everything in this sport, said this week, if anyone will be able to pull off a quint, it's Ilia. The quad god isn't done rewriting the rulebook. He's just getting started. 6 weeks, that's all it took. 6 weeks between one of the most shocking Olympic collapses in figure skating history and a world championship performance so commanding, so emotionally charged that it made grown men in Prague scream and weep at the same time. But the greatest athletes don't just win championships, they teach us something about what's possible when you refuse to let your worst moment define your next one. If this story moved you, if you believe in the power of comeback, of resilience, of refusing to accept a bad chapter as the ending, hit that like button right now, subscribe so you never miss a story like this, and tell me in the comments, what's the greatest athletic comeback you have ever witnessed? Because after what happened in Prague, Ilia Malinin just made his case. I'll see you in the next one.